This is Luke 10:19. Behold, I give unto you powers to tread on serpent and the scorpion, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing but enemies. Praise be to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakadash, double honor to the elder and apostle of Great Millstone, a peace, blessing, salutation to Zaki. I'm pushing this truth to the following. It is your brother from Central Africa coming to with this precept, man. For today, I'm going to talk about top 35 spiritual powers, man. You will witness in real life, man, in the coming few days, man. You will witness in the coming few days, man. So I will start by putting a disclaimer out there, man, because many brothers teach about spiritual power, but they don't put a disclaimer, man. For me, I am going to put a disclaimer, and I will do a lesson about it. Brother will get spiritual power, but some of the brothers won't get spiritual power. That is a lot, man. And when spiritual brothers start getting spiritual power, there will come a great falling away, man. Many people will leave the face, and many people will complain like babies, man. I have been putting on the work more than this brother. Why me? Why me? Why I didn't get spiritual power? Why me? Why is this happening to me? Why me? You get hurt, man. You can see a brother being able to manipulate elements and being able to fly and things like that, man. Being able to teleport, being able to heal people, and they don't have anything, man. Just imagine, man, many people will fall away. Like now, many people fall away because of pride. Those little things, he get offended by certain brothers. He is not being recognized in his camp, man. He was rebuked, man. Just imagine when certain brother gets spiritual power and they don't have, man. A brother who has been in the truth for 1 year gets spiritual power, man. And you brother who have been in this truth for 10 years, you won't get this spiritual power, man. I am laughing, but this is serious, man. This is coming, man. A great falling away is coming. And how about Hashem Yahushai? He will use that to sift many of you Negroes, man, who walk in pride. You got 20 subscribers, 20k subscribers, 20k viewers, man, and your head is getting big. Your head is getting puffed up, man. The how Hashem Yahushai will take a pen and release that pressure in your head, which make your head being puffed up, man. So you need to walk in humility, man. When the spiritual power comes, many of you Negroes will be sifted out, man. So with all that, let's get into the lesson, man. So before getting into the 35 top spiritual powers, every elect must start to meditate on them, man. You start meditating on moving things, man. You can do it. Nobody will notice you doing it. You start meditating on turning those things, man. Your mind should be freed with those things, man. Even if you want to get spiritual power at the end of the day, hey, man, you already got spiritual power. Guess what, man? You being able to break down this scripture, that's the spiritual power, man. So you are lucky, man. So in all the spiritual power, we got something called the cheat code, man. Something to be able to tap into spiritual power, man. And that is being able to control the periodic tables of elements, man. The periodic table, man. You got many elements here in your front. This is a periodic table, man. Let's go and see how Yahushua was able to control and manipulate elements, man. He just changed, you know, alcohol or water is made of hydrogen and oxygen, and wine is made of what do you call ether. You got oxygen, you got hydrogen, you got and other elements, man. I have forgotten, man. Those organic chemistry, man. I studied organic chemistry when I was in high school, man, and I was good in organic chemistry, man. Conversion, you can convert water to wine, man, through different chemical, we call them chain of reaction, man, under certain conditions, man. So Yahweh Hashem Yahushua will give us those cheat code, man. Those you studied in organic chemistry where you were in high school, man. Those conversion, man. You can go to books like Chandi, Chants, and the different other books. Esau did a work there, how to convert water to alcohol, how to convert something into rubber, how to convert something into a wood, man. The wood is made of element, the brick are made of element, your body is made of element. Even healing somebody with amputation, somebody without a leg, man, you manipulate the element, man, and you mold his leg, man, because our body are made of element, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, helium, and different things. In front of me there is a periodic table, man. So the periodic table is the basic of everything. Even Esau, when he started talking about his Big Bang theory, he started talking about inert element, which is hydrogen and helium, man. Those hydrogen and helium, through a process of evolution, they evolved to heavy element. So here you see, from hydrogen to the 20th element, those are called inert element, man. Above that, those are called heavy elements. So those heavy elements come from inert element. That's how Esau is. Esau is not long, man. Esau is not long for the most of part, man. Remember, Esau was given spiritual power. Esau have spiritual power, man, on the left hand side. That's why he got these different scientists: Isaac Newton, Albert Einstein, and this dude, what do we call, Nikola Tesla, Galileo Galilei. That's why Esau got spiritual power, man. So the cheat code to spiritual power is a periodic table, man. So this is an extensive and a beautiful lesson for you brothers, man. But I put a disclaimer that not all brothers will get spiritual power, but Lord will all of us get spiritual power, man. So that was, I was talking about the cheat code to this spiritual power, man. It is element, and when we continue with our video, you will see to be able to convert water into ice, convert something to fire. You playing with the element, man. Converting something to fire, you just melt the element above their melting point, then they turn to fire, they turn to another energy. Remember, Esau will tell you energy can't be lost. That's the law of conservation of energy. Energy can't be lost. It is converted from one state of energy to another state of energy. When you start studying about this different chemical reaction, if you went to school. So energy can be converted from one state of energy to another. Energy can't be lost, man. That in a deeper level, and the scripture tell you that, man. That's why there is no days where you disappear, man. Because our spirit are made of pure fire, man, pure energy. And when you die, you go back to the spirit world. So that is a conservation of energy in another meaning, man. So for you to be able to turn a wood into fire, you just melt the carbon and hydrogen and everything, oxygen, which make this wood above their melting point, man. So they melt, you turn them into a heat. It is called the conservation of energy. So let's see an example of Yahushua. Let's see an example of Yahushua. Turning. Let's see an example of Yahushua, how he uses the cheat code, man. Let's see. This is John 2, I started verse 1. And the same day there was a marriage in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus, Yahushua, was there. And both Jesus was called and his disciple to the marriage. And when they wanted wine, the mother of Jesus said unto him, They have no wine. And Yahushua said unto her, Woman, what have I to do with thee? My hour is not yet come. And his mother says unto the servant, Whosoever he says unto you, do it. And there were set there 6 water pots of stone after the manner of the purifying of the Jew, containing 2 or 3 thickness pieces. Yahushua said unto them, Fill the water pot with water, and they filled them up to the brim. So at the start it was the water, which is H2O, hydrogen, and the 2 moles. When I'm talking about moles, I'm talking about the concentration of oxygen. There was 2 portions of oxygen. That's what makes water, hydrogen, and 2 portions of oxygen. So he converted that into alcohol, adding another element from the periodic table, man. So the water turned into wine, man. So that's why I told you the cheat code to spiritual power is the periodic table of elements, man. So let's continue. And he says unto them, Draw out now and the beer unto the governor of the feast, and they begged. And when the ruler of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, and they knew not whence it was, but the servant which brought the water knew, and the governor of the feast called the bridegroom. So that was a cheat code to spiritual power, man. Turning the water into wine. There is nothing. This is a mystery, man. This is a miracle to unbelievers, man. But it's a mystery to us, man. That's why the scripture says that we were given the mystery as a cheat code to this truth, man. So let's continue. So, in order for you to be given this cheat code, what do you need to have first and foremost, man? Let's go to Matthew. Let's go to Matthew 17, man. This is Matthew 17 and 20. And Yahushua said unto them, Because of your unbelief, for verily I say unto you, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence you yonder place, and it shall be removed, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. So, before you are given the cheat code, you need to have faith, man. Faith to remove the Mount Everest, man. And they say, You Mount Everest, get the hell out of here and go be planted into the Pacific Ocean. Kal halali haba Hashem Yahushai, Kal halali haba Hashem Yahushai, Bahashem Bakakadash. That's the faith you need to have and the mindset you need to have. So through faith, you start practicing and meditating on spiritual power, meditating on moving things, like this magician do, meditating on healing people. Through that faith, you will get spiritual power. So let us go to Zechariah, and I want to bring a few scriptures, and then we go to a certain video to watch. Zechariah 12 and 8. In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, which day is the end of the day, during Jacob trouble. Jerusalem with the people before the press, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as God, and the angel of the Lord before them. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. Kol halal Yahaba Hashem Yahushai Bahashem Lakakadash. Let's continue. Let's continue. Let's go to Isaiah. Still in Isaiah 59. Isaiah 59 verse 19. So shall the fear of the Lord So shall the fear of the name of the Lord. For you who says that the name doesn't matter, man, you need to have faith and know the real name of the Lord. Those are two things in order for you to be given the cheat code, which is a periodic table, man. So that you can be able to manipulate elements and get spiritual power, man. So shall they fear the name of the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, shall lift up a standard against him. And the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them that turn from the transgression in Jacob, says the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. So we are still in Isaiah, man. You can't make a point at some time without bringing the book of Isaiah. So the book of Isaiah is a badass book, man. Isaiah 65, you brother know where I'm going. And verse 13, man. Therefore that says the Lord God, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, behold, my servant shall eat, but you shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but you shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but you shall be ashamed. Behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but you shall cry for sorrows of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. And you shall leave your name for a curse unto my choosing, for the Lord God Yahweh shall slay thee, and call his servant by another name. Call halal Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, call halal Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Nakakadai. So I was talking about the cheat code in different scripture going to spiritual power. So the cheat code is a periodic table of elements. Before you get that, you need to have the real name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, the real name of our power, which is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. You need to have faith like a mustard seed, man, and you cultivate that faith through fasting, through meditation, through prophesying in the street. Prophesying in the street give you faith, man, increase your faith, because you meet with different spirits, man. You need first to do your portion for you to be given this cheat code. So with that, let's go to the video. This video will give you different this is 35 spiritual powers. So bear with me for a second. My phone got disconnected from the Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi is Satan is doing something on my Wi-Fi, man. So let's go to it, man. Direct to it. So numerous citations can be drawn from ancient. A few spiritual power brothers can get. Top 35 extraordinary human power and ability. This is talking about spiritual power. Esau has analyzed them and put it a video. So I saw this video and I decided to do this lesson for quite a few days. So let's go into it. In cultures in which human beings hold full control over their mind, body, and soul. When one takes the instance of the Eastern countries, several gurus are experts in this field, as they can control their body and mind with simple techniques of yoga and strong internal training. By doing so, they are able to reach a state which cannot be achieved by normal human beings. So let me make a point here. There is ancient mythology among the Moabite and Ammonite. You can cultivate spiritual power, man. Those are not mythology. Those are true stories, man. Back in the day, people got spiritual power, man. When you go into the history of the Han dynasty, Song dynasty, people got spiritual power through cultivation and meditation. So, and us will get spiritual power because we are meditating. on the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, we are cultivating, man, our spirit to receive this spiritual power, man. And because we got the real power, we'll get the real spiritual power, man. So let's continue with our video.
Believe it or not, these talents are extremely rare, but are well documented, and it may be possible that our brains are the key to unlocking these abilities. Here for your pleasure and consideration is the top 35 extraordinary human powers and abilities. Magnokinesis. Magnokinesis, or magnetism manipulation, is a rare ability that users can generate, control, and manipulate magnetism in all its forms, whether it's natural, organic, or artificial. They can even create and control magnetic waves and eventually metal. Magnokinetic users can affect any matter that is magnetic by manipulating and controlling them as they will, and then directly use them to manipulate other things. Geokinesis. Geokinesis, or pyrokinesis, is an extremely rare ability that grants the user the ability to manipulate all forms of earth, such as sand, minerals, and rocks. Users can use this power to create earthquakes and fissures and tear the earth open. Geokinetics use electromagnetism and electrostatics to manipulate minerals. Alteration in mineral compositions, microseismic disruptions via the initiation of deformations in the Earth's surface, called faults, and an initializing movement of that fault.
Sonokinesis. Sonokinesis is the psychic ability to create and manipulate sound and sound waves. Users proficient in sonokinesis can create and modify sound waves to mimic, intensify, hush, and distort, as well as warp, strengthen, echo, speed up, and slow down sound. Sound can be a deadly weapon and a versatile tool. Around 120 decibels, sound becomes a disabling weapon if applied for a long enough period of time. At low frequencies, sound is potentially fatal to living beings by causing internal damage, while high frequencies cannot be heard by normal human ears, but can be used for sonar-like effects. Since sound vibrations can travel through the air, ground, water, and any form of medium, defense by using physical barriers is difficult. The vibrations can also affect at a molecular level. Cryokinesis. Cryokinesis can be defined as using psychokinesis to manipulate the molecular speed of an object. Slowing of the molecules produces cold, as cold can be defined as a molecular energy. By doing this, users can reduce the kinetic energy of atoms and thus make things cold for various effects and combinations. Cryokinesis is less commonly known compared to its opposite, pyrokinesis. While a cryokinetic has a great deal of control in lowering temperatures, they cannot create ice unless there is moisture of some sort nearby. Cryokinesis is one of the earliest naturally manifesting psychic abilities, sometimes manifesting as early as age 4.
Chronokinesis. Chronokinesis is the psychic ability to control one's perception of time and maybe time itself through the mind. In other words, one would accelerate their particles to slow down time, or in which they are able to manipulate the forces separating the third dimension and the fourth dimension to essentially put one part of their presence within the plane of space-time, enabling them to manipulate both space and time to the extent of their brain's capacity. Many theories have been put up discussing the possibility of humans having the power to have control over time, in which one either accelerates their particles to make everything around them move beneath their superhuman reaction time. Another theory is a human's power to unlock the full capacity of the mind, in which one has the ability to manipulate the fourth dimension of space-time itself. Teleportation. Teleportation is when matter is dematerialized at one location and recreated at another location without traversing.
Salak, my internet. My internet is tripping, man.
The space between them. To achieve teleportation, molecules may have to travel at light speed, or maybe realign mentally at target destination, or may use quantum superposition, in which the user teleports by replacing and restocking energy in a spatial behavior. A port is the paranormal transference of a person from one place to another, or an appearance of a person from an unknown source. Te al-Ard, also meaning holding up of the earth, is the name for teleportation in the mystical form of Islamic religious and philosophical tradition.
Atnokinesis is the psychic ability to manipulate the flux of the atmosphere with the mind at will, resulting in a change of weather patterns and formation of freak weather conditions. This ability allows the generation of any natural weather condition, from fog and rain to thunderstorms, lightning, hailstorms, blizzards, and even hurricanes. This ability is often linked to the user's emotions, generating lightning or hail unintentionally when the user is angry, high-velocity winds when they are afraid, to sunshine when they're happy. Atnokinesis often comes with a psychic restriction preventing manipulation of anything other than weather and climate patterns, as the capability to generate holes in the ozone layer or the like would pose the possibility of bringing harm to the user. Technopathy or cyberpathy? Technopathy or cyberpathy is the psychic ability to sense and control the functions of electronic devices requiring only minimal physical or mental contact with the device to potentially override security codes or manipulate any type of electronics. The ability to manipulate electronic machines has been recorded since their introduction as far back as the early 1900s. Users can control the flow of intricate machinery and can even allow them to assemble or disengage their programming at will. Technopaths can operate most technology just by touching or looking. A variation on electricity manipulation, the user controls specific electrons and instructs them on which functions to engage or disengage. Some users may even be able to use these electric impulses to gently control smaller metal parts. Intangibility. The power of intangibility is the ability to phase through solid matter without harm. Intangibility is when a person changes their molecular structure to pass through them. How this is done varies between slipping partially into other dimensions, willing the atoms to make an opening for them, being able to make their own atoms move between other atoms, being non-physical being of energy, or by vibrating their molecules into a new quantum frequency.
Hydrokinesis. Hydrokinesis is the paranormal psychic ability to control and manipulate the movement of liquid water using the power of the mind. Hydrokinetics are shown to be able to control, manipulate, and alter the molecular state of water, and being able to manipulate the surrounding water in the atmosphere. In most instances, hydrokinetic beings can control water, and some can actually become water, with some actually being able to survive in deep areas of the sea and hold their breath for extreme amount of time. In some cases, hydrokinetics are often shown to control the molecular state of water, being able to manipulate the surrounding water in the air, as stated, but also freezing the water and making clouds of steam. Most people can use hydrokinesis to pull moisture from the air and duplicate the moisture into liquid and then manipulate it, control the hydraulics and machinery, and even manipulate the molecular structure in water itself to cause it to freeze, heat, or possibly even gelify.
Invisibility. Invisibility is the inability to be perceived by the sense of sight. If the psychic aura deflects, distorts light, or sheathes the user in invisible energy, the user is rendered unseen to the naked eye. It can be accomplished by a few ways, and depending on the way that it is done, it can either be psionic in nature or biological. The ancient rumors of human invisibility have been whispered throughout the generations. Deep beyond the furthest reaches of time, the ancients had discovered the keys of human invisibility and could walk unseen among people. They'd vanish from sight, even in the middle of a crowd, only to reappear as they wished and desired.
Biokinesis. Biokinesis is the psychic ability to alter the DNA structure and body functions of oneself and others. A biokinetic can alter his or her own body as well. An example of this would be increasing their own physical attributes dramatically and spontaneously healing even potential fatal wounds. However, making an error can have huge negative side effects. With this ability, one can control life on a cellular level, including but not limited to genetic alterations and physical distortion and augmentations of biological functions. They can cause cells to augment to induce advanced or declined biological healing, induce diseases, induce appearance alteration, manipulate pheromones, and even increase physiological and psychological maturity.
Chlorokinesis. Chlorokinesis, formerly known as agrokinesis, is the paranormal ability to mentally manipulate plant life, including vines, plants, moss, flowers, and fungus, with the mind. The user can also communicate either telepathically, by speaking verbally, or by touching it physically, with all forms of plant life. One could also grow plants to enormous proportions in nearly any environment. A chlorokinetic can also sometimes have a bit of clairvoyant ability, but only in regards to plants. The plants can speak to a chlorokinetic, conveying sounds, images, and sometimes even the entire passing of a sequential event.
Mental possession. Mental possession is the ability to take control of another living being and its mind as if it were their own. Users with this ability would be able to steal their motor functions and senses, while the other person would lie dormant within their subconscious mind. Hypnosis is another ability to place others into a state in which they would obey the commands of the hypnotist or believe whatever the hypnotist told them. Some forms of this are far stronger than others. Memory erasure and alteration can also be accomplished hypnotically.
Optokinesis. Optokinesis, illusion, or simply the psychedelic effect, is a faculty of illusion in which one can induce psychedelic hallucinations in subjects at will. Optokinesis can cause illusions by changing what people see, cause themselves to see in different aspects, or change optic temporarily so their sight is behind actual time. Vision can be distorted so things look like they were moving opposite of their actual direction, called the parallax effect. This psychic ability causes the subject's imagination to overact, resulting in paranoia and delirium. With this ability, they can even project sight to others, or selectively see what others see, as they can control entirety of motor and sensory functions. Used by the eyes of others.
Tetrachromancy. Tetrachromancy is the ability to see light from 4 distinct sources. An example of this is the animal kingdom, the zebrafish, which can see light from the red, green, blue, and ultraviolet section of the light spectrum. Humans are normally trichromats, having 3 types of cone cells that receive light from either the red, green, or blue parts of the light spectrum. Each cone can pick up about 100 gradations of color, and the brain combines colors and gradations so that there are about 1 million distinguishable hues coloring your world.
Thermoregulation. Thermoregulation is the ability to control one's own body, i.e. the release of hormones and chemicals in response to outside external conditions. Humans have been able to adapt to a great diversity of climates, from hot and humid to cold, freezing. Psychic power and mental manipulation are indeed helpful, but this ability is mostly composed of physical, not psychic methods. Electrokinesis. Electrokinesis is the psychic power to manipulate energies, electrical currents, and generate electricity within the mind. Some people can conduct and store electrical energy within their body and drain electrical devices and machines, with application ranging from high voltage shocks to more complex abilities such as hacking, electromagnetism generation, and constructs. The user is able to control electrons in a variety of effects, making electrokinesis one of the most powerful and versatile elements.
Pyrokinesis. Pyrokinesis is defined as the ability to excite or speed up an object's atoms, thereby increasing its thermal energy until it ignites. The term is derived from the Greek word pi, fire, and kinesis, motion. Pyrokinesis is often confused with pyromancy, which is the art of divination using fire, similar to crystal ball gazing. There is no scientific evidence to suggest that this ability is real, though many people involved in the field of parapsychology believe it exists. There may be a connection between this alleged ability and the various reports of spontaneous human combustion.
Enhanced strength. There have been several instances of enhanced strength, like the ability to lift, push, or haul weights far greater than one's normal capability. Most of them are seen in emergency situations and are well documented but controversial in the medical community. The first documented report was in 1982, when the jack under Tony Carvalho's 64 Impala slipped and his 50-year-old mother Angela lifted and supported the 3,500-pound car long enough for the neighbours to drag him out from under. Scientists believe these incidents are possible because the muscles of the human body are over-engineered, and when flooded with extra adrenaline from the shock and reaction, nutrients can handle a lot more strain than normal. Flight is the psionic ability to move oneself through the air without any apparent means of propulsion. It is likely that this ability is a limited form of telekinesis which can only be applied to the motion of the possessor rather than the other objects. This ability can allow the possessor to hover in the air as well as travel at supersonic speeds. It also appears to lend the possessor some measure of physical protection from the effects of high-speed air travel, while they appear unaffected by cold while flying, and their eyes and other mucous membranes are protected from drying out. Whether this imperviousness is psychological or psionic in nature is unknown.
In that flight, let me bring scripture. But this is Isaiah 14:31. But they that wait upon the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, shall renew their strength, they shall mount up with wings as eagle. So that flight, 15 is spiritual power called flight. So brothers will be able to fly like eagles. They shall not and not be well, and shall walk and not be faint.
Bilocation. Bilocation can be defined as the simultaneous presence of a person in two different places. Numerous witnesses connected to the Christian religious tradition have reported events of bilocation, which have been attributed to many saints. Although it is uncommon, bilocation is an ancient phenomenon. It is claimed to have been experienced and even predicted by mystics, saints, monks, holy persons, and magical adepts.
Clairvoyance. Clairvoyance, from the Greek words clair, meaning clear, and voyance, meaning vision, is the ability to gain information about an object, person, location, or physical event through means other than the human senses. It differs from telepathy in that there is no transfer of information from one person to another. Current thinking among proponents of clairvoyance.
That's why Yahushua was able to know what the Pharisees were thinking. That's called clairvoyance. Clairvoyance. That's spiritual power, man. That's not miracle. That's spiritual power. Mystery. It is miracle to unbeliever. I repeat that again.
Suggests that most people are born with clairvoyant abilities, but then start to subliminate them as their childhood training compels them to adhere to acceptable social norms. Omnilingualism. Omnilingualism is the ability to understand any form of language. It's often reported that people can speak, write, understand, and communicate in any language, including computer codes, languages that have never
Speaking in tongues. Hey, man.
even been heard before, sign language,
Omnilingualism.
illegible words, and backward speech with little to no training at all. Certain people may even communicate with animals or be able to read body language without any error.
Like Balaam, man. He spoke with a dunk. That is spiritual power, man.
The translation of one's native tongue or telepathic or subliminal broadcast of one's communication intentions to the mind of others, so that one can speak one's own language and be understood by people who normally wouldn't understand that speaker. Astral projection. Astral projection is the ability to spiritually separate from your body and travel vast distances with the mind alone. This capability enables a person to send their spirit to another place in the world by keeping the body stationary at a different...
Like Ezekiel, man, was taken by a cherub, man, and he was somewhere in the temple, man. That's the astral projection.
place. It is believed that ancient yogis possessed this power when they were in a state of samadhi, which is the highest meditation state in which unity is reached. We all have this ability, and we do subconsciously use it when we're asleep. One with this skill is able to go to astral worlds, fly, contact friends, and even hear what people are saying. The concept of astral projection has been familiar for thousands of years, dating back to ancient China and other cultures.
Aura reading. Aura reading is the psychic ability to perceive auras, normally invisible fields of energy that surround every living thing. This can be used to sense emotions.
Brothers can have this aura. You sense that this dude is dangerous to us. Hey brother, let's take another pass, man. There is Esau there, man. There is Esau there. There is Esau. You got brothers with spiritual power like there, man. They will be telling you, hey brother, don't take that load. There is martial law troop. Don't take that load. There is something. Don't take that load. Tomorrow there will be like that, man.
Health, thoughts, or the target's moral alignment. They may also be able to sense auras surrounding inanimate objects. Aura reading is usually the manifestation of another ability, more commonly known as mediumship. Aura reading, as with most things psychic, is a lesson in patience. You may see auras right away, or within a few days of practice. You may see them initially, and then have a period of time where you don't seem to see anything. Although some people see colors almost immediately, others may practice for several months before colors start to appear.
Eidetic memory. The power to remember and recall experiences and events inhumanly well after minuscule degrees of experience.
I think every brother got this. The power to remember. That's why you remember scripture, man, and the precept. So, in really sense, we got spiritual power, man.
Users can remember great volumes of information in greater detail and for much longer than the average human. They can read books, listen to song lyrics, encounter people or experience events, and recall a vast amount of the details of said experience.
Sea spirits. Experts say that such people interlink among the dead and the living on
Strange apparition, man.
a frequent basis. When a person dies, he or she departs from the world. The body remains here in this world, but the soul departs from this materialistic world and enters the spiritual world. Spiritual world is the world of dead people, and materialistic world is the living people. It is not possible for a normal person to come in contact with the spiritual world, but there are some able to communicate and interact with the dead. These are the people who remain in the materialistic world but act as an interpreter between both of the worlds.
Precognition. Precognition involves the acquisition or effect of future information that cannot be deduced from presently
The prophet, man.
available and normally acquired sense-based information. People who have precognition have the ability to foresee possible futures and observe what may happen, as knowledge of the future invariably causes that future to change.
So, brothers got spiritual power to remember the scripture, and the brothers got spiritual power to foresee what is coming. That's why we prophesy the downfall of this society, because we foresee. We got precognition.
Visions of the future are subject to frequent shifting. While not being able to select futures or travel through time, these visions may assist in possible courses of action. This ability is related to premonition and prophecies. Surveys show that precognition, particularly in dreams, is considered real by at least 1/3 of the general population.
Telepathy is the ability to communicate with others with the mind. Within the field of parapsychology, this is considered to be a form of ESP. Most often, telepathy occurs spontaneously in incidents of crisis where a relative or friend has been injured or killed in an accident. An individual is aware of the danger to the other person from a distance. Such information seems to come in different forms, as in thought fragments, like something has gone terribly wrong, in visions, dreams, hallucinations, and mental images. Normal humans might feel this power temporarily, but telepaths do it so often that it becomes normal for them, and beyond normal for the rest of us. Some incidents involve apparent telepathy between humans and animals.
Levitation. Levitation is the art of hovering yourself and withstanding the power of gravity. There is a chapter in the Vedas on levitation, a sort of guidelines on how to reach a state required for taking off the ground. Unfortunately, the meaning of many ancient Indic words and concepts have been irretrievably lost over the last few centuries, and therefore, the invaluable instructions cannot be translated into modern languages. The art of levitation still exists in both India and Tibet. Many scholars engaged in Oriental studies also mention the phenomenon of flying llamas. We've even seen many magicians perform this supernatural task, levitating themselves and defying gravity, and some of them have never been revealed. It's exceptional, and is apparently shown in many rare books that it can be achieved through strong will practice and guidance. Some researchers say it is a product of biogravitational fields, created by a special kind of mental energy emitted by the human brain. They point out that the biogravitational field is deliberately created by a levitator, and therefore the latter can control the field and change the direction of a flight. While levitation can equate to acts of strange magic or astral projection of psychoactive ethogens, transvection usually occurs to the experience of bodily movement in defiance of gravitational laws.
Supertasters. People who experience taste with greater intensity than the rest of the population are called supertasters. The study found that some people are born with more taste buds than others, meaning they are better able to distinguish between tastes. The 5 types of taste, those being sweet, salty, bitter, sour, and umami, a supertaster generally finds bitterness to be the most perceptible. Supertasters will often dislike certain foods, particularly bitter ones such as Brussels sprouts, cabbage, coffee, and grapefruit juice. Women, Asians, and Africans are most likely to have the increased number of the fungi-form papillae that makes them supertasters.
Absolute pitch. This is the capability to recognize and replicate a sound at the exact pitch without hearing it. People having this ability can classify sounds into categories and remember that pitch. It's not simply a better ability to hear, but the ability to mentally class sounds into remembered categories. Examples of this include identifying the pitch of everyday noises such as horns, sirens, and engines, being able to sing a named note without hearing a reference, naming the tones of a chord, or naming the key signature of a song. Estimates of the portion of the population having absolute pitch range from 3% of the general population in the United States of America and Europe to 8% of those in Japan. About 70% of musicians have absolute pitch altogether. Psychometry. Psychometry Theory, translated from Greek as measure of the soul, is the unique ability to read information from objects by touch or sight. For example, a psychometrist may hold a watch or wallet belonging to a person they do not know, and by concentrating on the object, gather information about that person's past, present, or future. It is believed some sort of psychometry is shown in the work for detectives or crime investigations. Telekinesis is mind over matter, and it is the ability to move or manipulate objects with the mind. The position normally taken by scientists and skeptics is that any apparent evidence of this ability is the result of fraud. As we get stronger and better at it, we might be able to move heavier things. Telekinesis takes great focus, and it would help to meditate and practice frequently, though it's not required. A theory on telekinesis is that energy flows where our attention goes, and our attention goes where our focus goes. One fact is, we are all made of the same energy, so we must simply connect with whatever we are trying to move. Telekinesis is one of the bases of many powers that are based on controlling and manipulating. It may evolve to the point that a telekinetic can control anything at a subatomic level. Telekinesis events have been recorded throughout the world, but is often dismissed as special camera effects or magic tricks, and thus many people do not believe its true existence.
This video is bound to receive a lot of fraud and skeptics believing the whole process to be a complete joke.
So brothers, I am not saying that this is the only spiritual power, but I tried my best to bring you the 35 spiritual power, man, in which you will see very soon in real life, man, if you have the face of the mustard seed, man. So that's it, man. I hope the lesson was edifying. It's your brother from Central Africa. I say shalom.